Hello everyone. Hello people from my stories. Hello everyone from around the world. I'm Monk John, and today I'm going to talk about a topic. This topic will be about our dreams, because there are some questions being asked in the My Stories group. They want to know a little bit more about why we dream, what is the meaning of our dreams, and how to actually control it. And this is going to be a topic for our talk today. If you just arrived, please tell me if you can hear my voice properly. And if maybe you can also tell me where you're from, okay? Whether you're from Asia, you're from America, or Europe, or Africa. Tell me where you're from. And if you can hear my voice properly, you can type +1 so that I can know that the audio system is proper. All right. So we're going to wait a little bit before we begin the topic. And I think this topic is really, really close to us, because as a human being, we dream a lot, right? Maybe some of you dream every night. Some of you may dream once in a while, but some of your dreams are very meaningful. So we're going to talk about that. Just going to wait a little bit for people to arrive. And if you feel that this live or this talk will be useful for people who might be interested in this topic, you may consider like the talk or share the talk on your profile. Thank you very much for your attention today, and we're going to begin our live very soon. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate asking the questions. You can put them in the box, but if there are a lot of comments, sometimes it's harder for me to take a look at your questions. However, I try my best, and I think I can cover some of the very important questions you ask. And if I cannot cover all of them, we're going to talk about that. Maybe I can answer your questions in the box, or maybe I can make a separate video for that as well, okay? We've been doing this live weekly, and usually it's on Saturday. So if on any Saturday you're available, don't forget that we can have this live together, and you can watch new knowledge about meditation, about Buddhism, about any wisdoms that you can use in order to make you happier and more peaceful. Okay, I usually summarize from my experience 10 years as a Buddhist monk, and prepare the content in order to be very useful for you. Okay, so let's see, we have a few people arrived already. We have Agni from Latvia. We have Soccer, and we are waiting for more people to arrive. All right, so the topic is about our dreams. Let me ask you a question. When do we have our dreams, or when do we dream? Are we dreaming just only when we fall asleep, or we might potentially have our dreams at different times of the days as well? So the first questions for our live today is, when do we dream? When do we dream? Okay, do we have our dreams only when we fall asleep, or do we also have our dreams, or do we dream at the other time of the days as well? So what is your answer? You can always type your answers in the chat box, and I'm taking a look at your answer. All right, so if you just arrived, this topic is about our dreams. And first, I try to clarify and explain, okay, what happened. And from the Buddhist perspective, because the Buddha actually talked about different kinds of dreams. And that is very interesting. When I learned about it for the very first time, I could relate to my life and my night, okay? So the first questions that I ask you today is, when do we dream? Do we dream when we sleep, or do we dream at other times of the day? Or do you dream the whole time? What is your answer? All right, so let's hear your answer. Okay, we are still waiting for a little bit more people to arrive. So when do we dream? Actually, dreaming is a state of the mind, right? Because scientists, they try to measure and understand how we dream. And there is even some state of the mind. For example, you might have heard about this one, REM, right? REM stands for rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement. Why do they call this one rapid eye movement? If you search on YouTube, you might encounter a lot of videos that they try to film people that was falling asleep. They were sleeping, but somehow their eyes were blinking slightly, a little bit, like that. And scientists, they made a conclusion based on many observations, many experiments, that during this state of the mind, somehow people have very, very good sleep. Okay, good sleep, very, very good sleep. And this can be measured based on, when people wake up, they share the experience from the sleep and also from the brain waves. So this rapid eye movement usually happen when our brain waves usually is going everywhere, like they call it gamma, for example. Then when we feel more relaxed, the key is relaxation. When we feel relaxation, the brain waves started to change to be smoother and more beautiful somehow. Usually it's kind of complicated, goes everywhere, but after the mind feels more relaxed, because if you can't feel relaxed, you can't fall asleep, right? The moment that you were about to fall asleep is the moment when you feel the most relaxed, I guess. All right, if you just arrived, we are going to talk about dreams and why it is so important to us. How do we control our dreams? Is this possible at all? Because some people, they talk about lucid dreaming and they try to find a way to control it. Remember, dreaming or sleeping is 1/3 of your life. There is some calculation also on the web as well, that if you live up to 75 years in average of human beings these days, if you can live up to 75 years, you're going to sleep 25 years. That is 1/3 of your time. That's because usually we sleep 8 hours, or many people, I would say almost most of the people who sleep 8 hours a day. Some people sleep less, some people sleep more. So this time is really 1/3 of our life. If we learn how to make it better, and if we can maybe understand something from it, would it be nice if we can unlock the answer from this period of time that we spend in the night alone, right? So if you just arrived, please share where you are from. And if you can hear my voice properly, you can type +1, all right? And If you have any questions, you can also ask in the box. And if you feel that this video can be useful for your friends, for your family, for anyone who might be interested in the topic, you can also like and share these videos as well. Okay, so basically, okay, let me check the comment. Okay, let me check the comment. I can see that more people are arriving, so we can begin at the moment. Okay. Okay, so you can share with me where you are from and if you can hear my voice properly. Thank you, Alvin from Alberta, and we have Isabel. Okay, so I should speak louder. Sure. Can you hear my voice properly? And we have Angela from Malaysia. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Isabel, for joining, and Mary from Nicaragua, and the voice is nice and clear. And Nastrina from Jordan, right? Nastrina. Nesrin, is that Nesrin from Jordan? Okay, so I begin the first questions already. When do we dream? And you can dream many times a day, right? That's why they call it daydreaming, because the dreams itself is a state of the mind that your mind could be engaged in some stories, in some pictures, some experiences that you can have in your day, in your night. But at that time when you dream, there might be some conditions to it. For example, usually it happens when you feel relaxed. And second, it happens when you actually withdraw yourself from the physical five senses. So, what we learn from here is whenever we dream, okay, you don't necessarily have to lie down and dream. You can dream when you actually sit on a chair, right? But then, one thing that we learn is we need to feel relaxed. We need to feel relaxed. And second, we need to withdraw our attention from five senses. Okay, so these are examples of the conditions that may happen when we dream. Why do I say that we feel relaxed? That's because scientists also measure the brain waves. Usually when we have good dreams, of course we have bad dreams as well, right? But okay, in this case we're going to talk first about some good dreams that we feel pretty relaxed, pretty comfortable, and they call that moment, not necessarily just this moment, but this moment when you feel very relaxed when you sleep, they call it REM, rapid eye movement. So the eye started to blink, and if you search on YouTube, you might find a lot of videos that people they try to tape their friends when their eyes started to blink rapidly, like that. And scientists has proved from many experiments that this is the moment that you feel, or people usually feel very relaxed and have a very good sleep. Okay, whether they have dreams or dreamless, usually this time is very, very relaxed. And if we actually try to align this with brain waves, usually some of us can begin our brain waves, and that is called the beta brain waves, that when we are conscious and we are concentrating on something, that is the beta brain wave. But whenever you feel more and more relaxed, especially when you started to fall asleep and withdraw yourself from the physical five senses, that is when you started to have the alpha wave, right? This is when you feel a bit more relaxed. And if you feel even more relaxed, it's going to be theta and delta. So these patterns of brain waves is usually first you feel relaxed, second you have either good dreams or no dreams, and third, some moment here then you started to have REM, that scientists say that this is the best sleep ever. Okay, so this is what we learned from our sleep, from our resting, when we rest, and the brain waves started to be more comfortable and comfortable and comfortable. At this particular moment, you can dream. It means that if you can let go something from the mind and you feel more relaxed and you allow your mind to withdraw from the physical five senses, you can dream when you are awake as well. This state is really in the middle. If you have two states, this is awake, and this is when you are about to sleep. Okay? Usually your dreams happen around here. And for example, when you try to sleep, you feel more relaxed, right? If you don't feel relaxed enough, you can't fall asleep. But you feel more relaxed. At this point, this particular moment is when you have dreams. Okay, when you have dreams. Of course, in our night, this may go a little bit up and down somewhere here. It depends on which particular moment of your night. Sometimes you have good dreams, sometimes you have bad dreams, or sometimes you have no dreams. So I'm going to begin with the type of dreams. Okay? The first type of dream that we are going to talk today is the dreams that happened when we have body element unbalance. Body element unbalance. It means that in our body, when you sleep, somehow you might have some elements more than others, and that creates the feeling of imbalance in the mind. And when you sleep like that, you can have the dreams. I can give you some example. The food that you eat really contributes a lot on how you will dream. If you have too much food, then your sleep is first not going to be very comfortable. And if you will have some dreams, that is not going to be a comfortable one either. So you might consider have less leftover food before you go to sleep. In my case, as a Buddhist monk, I cannot have dinner, so food after lunch is kind of prohibited. But sometimes, if I feel too hungry or if I need some energy to work on my day, I can also drink some fruit juice or some sugar in order to refresh myself, especially sometimes I have to read some books, I have to work on some programming in the night. And that, if I didn't eat anything, my brain doesn't work. But if I have too much of the sugar or too much fruit juice, that is going to affect how I dream. Because sometimes, some night, I wouldn't dream at all. But some nights, I have a lot of dreams, If you have too much leftover food before you go to sleep, that creates easily body elements imbalance. And that is going to lead you to have uncomfortable sleep, and then you might have bad dreams. Okay, does it make sense? Have you ever experienced some weird dreams or some uncomfortable sleep if you have leftover food or maybe too much sugar before you go to sleep? You can share your experience in the comment box, and we will see. Maybe I can read your stories as well. Do you have any experiences related to this? It's not just about the food, but somehow the way you sleep as well, because this is body element. So what could be potentially this body element? If we take a look at these four composition, like earth, air, fire, and water. Okay, we're not going to talk about elements in terms of oxygen or nitrogen or hydrogen or something like that, but something simpler like earth element, air element, fire element, and water element. These, if they are balanced, you're going to have much better sleep, right? For example, if you sleep in a room where the ventilation is very, very, very bad, what will happen to you? What will happen to your sleep? What will happen to your dreams? That night you won't have a comfortable dream, a good dream, because you can't even breathe. I remember one thing. I was studying my PhD in Norway, and one of the very first lessons that my professor taught me, in addition to computer, was about sleeping. He said, I'm not sure if any Norwegians are watching, but well, let's see. He's a Norwegian, of course. He said that Norwegians, when they sleep, they open the door even in winter. They don't close the, sorry, I said the door. They open the window even in winter. They don't close the windows, and they switch off the heater, and they depend only on their blanket, or they have very good quality blanket, because the blanket is made from, I think, duck feathers, and the quality is so good that it protects you from the cold. Any Europeans here? Do you sleep with your windows open with -10, -5? So the reason I didn't understand, and I always close the windows. Why? Because I am from Asia, and I'm not very used to sleeping, and I felt that it is going to be very cold, and I didn't trust my blanket. So what happened was I had very, very uncomfortable night because I was sweating. At some point, I switched on the heater in the night. I closed the window because I wanted to make sure that the room was warm enough for me to sleep. I started not to like very much the cold because everywhere was so cold except your room, right? So after a few nights, I learned that I need to let my window be partially open to have better ventilation when you sleep. any any Europeans, anyone from the a little bit colder countries, do you sleep with your windows closed or open? Huh? You can share with me. All right. So another example is from my master. He said that there was some time that he slept in a room and he had nightmares many nights in a row. He never had that nightmare before, but he kept having nightmares night after night, and he couldn't actually understand why that happened. He tried to verify about the food, if he had too much food, but he didn't. So eventually he found out that the reasons he had many nightmares is the tree started to grow, and somehow some branches of the tree that is next to his bedroom was blocking the ventilation. So the airflow was not as good as before, and ever since he started to have bad dreams. So what he did was to cut the branch, and eventually after the branch was cut, he started to have much better sleep. That is because the elements need to be balanced. Or fire, if you sometimes were sweating in the night because the room was so hot, then you're not going to have very good sleep, and that really affects how you dream. You're not going to have very good dreams. Maybe some dreams, nightmares, bad dreams could be happening. Or water. If you had more water or no water at all, you can make this experiment, okay? So that you know how to make your body elements balance before you go to sleep. Earth is about food, and air is about ventilation. Fire is about temperature of the room, and water is the amount of water that you drink. If you drink too much, then I still remember, maybe I shouldn't share this, but this is when I was very, very young. I dreamed that I was swimming in the ocean, and then you can kind of guess what happened, right? I dreamed about swimming in the ocean, and when I woke up, that was wet. That was many, many years ago. I still remember. So at this time, I told myself that if I were to dream that I was swimming in the ocean or swimming in the swimming pool, I have to wake up and go to toilet. So make sure that you keep your body elements balanced. And first, you're going to have good sleep. Second, you're going to have good dreams. Okay? So the first type of our dreams happen because our body elements are not balanced. Once you learn this, I suggest, it's not like, okay, let's have fun, let's have our body elements in balance so that we can have some dreams to enjoy. Some of you may feel like if you sleep and you don't have any dreams, it's going to be a very long night or maybe not interesting night. But in fact, if you have a sleep and your sleep doesn't have any dream, you're going to have a much better rest. Because when you lie down and sleep, even though your body was resting, but your mind was not, your mind was still dreaming. So your mind was still working. It's like you, even though you sit still, but you still read a book or you try to understand some work for your exam or something like that, you're still using your mind and work on something. So if you dream, especially if your dreams come from body elements imbalance, then you try to fix it. Otherwise, if you don't have a very, very good sleep, 10 hours of sleep is not enough for you, okay? All right, so okay, so Agnew, she's from Latvia, and Latvia is kind of cold countries, especially in winter. It's very cold. And she said that she's loved with windows closed in the winter, maybe in summer opened. Well, yeah, you can try, but if you have always a lot of dreams, if you have always some negative dreams or bad dreams, or you feel tired when you wake up in the morning, you may consider adjusting this to make the four elements balance when you sleep. If they are not balanced, you're going to have some dreams. And if you have a lot of dreams, maybe if you sleep 8 hours, there might be only 1 or 2 hours that you have a very, very good sleep. And that's why many people, when they wake up after 10 hours sleep, they feel still drowsy, they feel sleepy when they wake up. Okay? So, the second kind of our dreams, the second kind is, of course, from worrying mind. Worrying mind. It means that if you've been thinking about something, maybe for the whole day, or maybe for the whole week, there might be possibility that you will keep thinking about that thing in the night, in your dreams as well. Or maybe something that you've been worried so much your whole life sometimes, or the whole year. There is a chance that you will keep thinking about that as well, okay? But this is not necessarily only about things that you think in the day, because your mind works in a very random way. So even if you think about thought A again and again and again and again, but when you dream, you might dream about thought B. How they're related? That's because somehow the mind doesn't necessarily think about what you think before, but it can jump between thoughts very easily. For example, today, how many thoughts have you been having so far? It's not just one thought, right? It's not just about thought A, but somehow your mind switched from thought A to B, to C, to D. In 1 hour, you can have possibly 100 different thoughts, right? Without any conclusions, because your mind keeps switching between thoughts the whole time. From A, even though you haven't finished thinking about A, then your mind switch to B. Or even though you haven't finished thinking about B, it switched to C and to D and to E and to F, and then come back to thought A again. This can happen in the night as well. So when this happens, you can feel that there is no beginning of your dream. There is not going to be an end to it. But you keep switching from one thing. For example, you may begin by being a lawyer, and that's the only word that comes to my mind at the moment. And then you're going to court, you're going to fight for your clients. Suddenly, something broke out at the court, and some soldiers are there with guns, and they're going to start shooting you. And then you grab a gun, and then you become a soldier. So that's how it switched to another thought already. And then you try to run to a school, but somehow once you arrive at school, there are a lot of students waiting. Then you become a teacher. You try to teach your students, and you try to teach art to your students. And the students, they are listening to you, and they try to draw something, and then you become an artist. And once you become an artist, you go different places in the world, and eventually you ended up being a musician somewhere. So how is it possible from being a lawyer into you ended up being a musician in different places of the world? That is because your mind keeps switching between thoughts. And this is because you have so many wandering thoughts in the day. Okay? So if you have thoughts or you have dreams like this, don't pay attention to it very much. Again, dreams that are from number 1 and number 2. Number 1 that I talk about, the body elements imbalance. And number 2, dreams because you have wandering mind. Don't pay attention to it because they're not going to lead you to anything interesting, anything in reality. They're not going to tell you anything at all, okay? And let me tell you some solutions to this. In case you might be interested in having a better sleep or having a little less dream, and maybe if you're going to dream, it's going to be something meaningful. Why wouldn't you adjust yourself before going to sleep? There is one saying that your day begins when you are about to go to sleep. It doesn't begin when you wake up. It doesn't begin when you were lying down and sleep. Your day begins when you go to sleep. If you have good preparation before sleeping, that night is going to be awesome. And you're going to enjoy it much better because you don't waste your moment dreaming about something not very useful, okay? Because again, when you dream, somehow your mind works as well. You don't actually have the full rest unless you can clear everything from the mind. So, number 1, the dreams because of the unbalance of body elements. How can we fix this? We fix by making the elements balance. For example, the 4 elements, earth, this is about food. You need to make sure that you digest all the food before you go to sleep and you don't have too much exercise and something. And second, fire. Make sure that you have your room is not too cold or too hot, and you have enough blankets. You have enough good proper pajamas. And the third one is about air. Air ventilation is very, very important because when you lie down and sleep, even though your body doesn't need much oxygen, like when you're moving your body, but it still needs some oxygen. And you need to make sure that your room have enough ventilation, have enough air for you to breathe in the night. If you don't have enough air, then you're not going to have a good dream, okay? And the fourth one is water. Make sure that you have enough water, not too much, otherwise you might dream that you were wandering in the desert, or not too little, otherwise you might dream that you were wandering on the desert, and not too much, otherwise you might dream that you were swimming in the ocean, just like me in the past. And every time I have to tell myself, if I were swimming in the ocean, that you need to be careful, or I needed to be very careful about that. Okay, so prepare yourself before going to sleep. Wandering mind, you need to also prepare yourself before sleeping as well. How? If we are able to meditate and clear our mind before sleeping, remove all the worries, and maybe you stop using mobile phones, and many people, they also started to have this practice of not bringing televisions or mobile phone in their bedroom or in their bed, so that they at least allow the mind to decompress and release all the wandering thoughts and all the worries before going to sleep. Then you're going to have much better sleep. Okay, I will give you one tip that worked for me, that worked for many people, how we can remove wandering mind, how we can adjust this before we go to sleep. So we are going to go to the third kind of the dream, okay? The third kind of the dream. This is what we call little voices from invisible beings. Little voices from invisible. I'm not sure. Maybe you don't need to have little here. It could be loud voice sometimes, but usually these are voices from people who pass away, or from spirits, or from ghosts, whatever you call them. We're talking about the same thing today. We're talking about people who are not alive, and you can't possibly hear them with your ears. You can't possibly talk to them with your mouth. But this usually happens when you allow the mind to be in the state of being awake and half awake, half sleep. So this is awake again. This is when you are awake, and this is when you were sleeping. This doesn't work, but somewhere in the middle it works. When you are pretty relaxed, and then you started to feel the mind was very clear, and then you hear some voice. That is the invisible beings we talk about. They might want to tell us something. People who pass away can come back to our house just to tell us that they are happy, that they wanted some family members to know something, and they want to pass the message because they can't communicate with the other family members directly. So, and they kind of choose you or choose us because your mind were in this state that are able to accept, that are able to listen to that invisible voices. Okay? The question is, can we really trust this voice? The answer is partially. You need to make sure that you did not actually have wandering thoughts first, because again, these kind of dreams can be very similar to the second one. The second one happened because you have worried mind. For example, if some of your family member passed away, you might feel very sad, and then you might keep worrying about him or her or the rest of the family members, about the situation, everything, and you started to dream about that person. But that is not the one I'm talking about here. This one is like you are communicating with the person. It's like the person is just next to your bed talking to you. And sometimes it doesn't really only happen just once or just twice, but many days in a row. The same voice, same story, same people, same person came to you and talked to you, telling you something, until you started to feel convinced. Then the dream disappears. Okay. So I hope that I'm not going to fast, because we have only 15 minutes left. Okay. Am I going to fast? We are talking about 4 kinds of dreams today. And these 4 kinds of dreams, I didn't come up with myself. This is shared by the Buddha himself. The Buddha said that when we dream, we typically have 4 kinds of dreams when we lie down and sleep. The first one is when your body elements are not balanced. The second one is when you have so much wandering thoughts in the mind, so many wandering thoughts. And the third one that we're talking about at the moment, when you started to hear some voices in your head when you were lying down, usually the state is half awake, half asleep. It's not like you are fully unconscious. It's like you remain a little conscious but not awake. So this state is very similar to meditation. because in meditation, it's 50% concentration and 50% relaxation. Okay, when you allow yourself to be in this state of the mind, some people can also hear something that they didn't hear when they are awake. Some people can also see something that they normally don't see when they are awake. That's because somehow the mind adjusted the ability to perceive broader than our five senses. Okay. All right. So, can we have Ingrid from Chile, and then we have question from Agnew to hear the voice from invincible people. This is how we actually can perceive, and those people that wanted to communicate with us, they have to make sure that if they communicate with us, we can hear them, right? Otherwise, it's like going to be like a movie. If you can imagine some movies when there are dead people and they started to talk to people, but none of them can hear the person. None of them can hear, because it's like we are not in the same dimension somehow, right? But if you allow your mind to be in this state that are 50% relaxed and 50% conscious, then you allow yourself, you allow the mind to be in different dimension. And that's how we can also hear voices from different dimensions as well. And they want to tell us something. Usually people who pass away, who just pass away, they come back to leave the last message. Maybe they wanted to tell us that they're fine. Maybe they wanted to tell us that don't be sad. Maybe they wanted to tell us some messages that they wanted to convey to another person, but that person cannot receive. So when we allow our mind to be in this state, then we can receive the message. So this dream usually happens when you are in the state awake and sleep at the same time. Okay? So I'm going to go to the last kind of the dream. We call this one karma-driven dream. Karma-driven dream. The word karma means our actions, but our actions usually leads to consequences. Right? So everything we do is going to give some fruits in the nearby future, whether they are good, they are bad. And if some of these consequences that are coming to our life very soon, something very significant, something very big, we might actually have this dream, very vivid, very clear. It is like you are in a 4D movie. I'm saying 4D because it's not just about the perceptions, not about the pictures. It's like you are really in a movie. It's not in the IMAX movie theater, but it's like you wear a virtual reality mask or is that goggles? Like glasses, virtual reality glasses, and you can see in all the directions, and the movie is so vivid, and you dream that you were going to be something, going to receive something, or you're going to be hurt, or something is going to happen to you. It feels like real, and this one usually is about to happen when you about to wake up, or it's very close to the dawn. It's very close to dawn. Okay? Have you ever had these kind of dreams before? Have you ever had something so vivid in the night that you thought that it was real, and you felt like you were in the 4D theater, and when you finish the dream, then you wake up, you remember everything? That is the karma-driven dreams. Okay? This is the kind of dreams that you can trust. The other kinds of dreams, we talk about 4 kinds, right? The first one is body imbalance. Don't trust the dreams. The second one is the worrying mind, and then you have dreams. Don't trust them. The third one is when you have voices that you can hear, or maybe sometimes you can even see pictures. Then don't trust this one 100%. Sometimes you can trust partially. It depends on the beings that come tell us the story. And the last one is karma-driven dreams. And karma simply means actions, and each and every action leads to consequences. Sometimes you dream that something is going to happen in your life, and that really happened. You can search Google, you can search YouTube. There are many stories that people dream they were about to be killed, and a few days later they got killed. That's because the karma that they did of killing others are about to lead to the result that they are going to be shot, they're going to be killed. And after that, few days later, they die. Or maybe it's the karma that you're going to receive some wealth, some luck, some fortune. That's because you share with people before. You did something great for people before, and that the good things are being attracted to your life, and you know in advance that is going to happen. Okay? Many people ask me, I dream about something. It was so vivid, it was so real, and after I finished, I woke up very close to dawn. So what is that? That is the karma-driven kind of dream. And the percentage that it will really happen in your life is very, very high. Okay? So these are the 4 kinds of dreams we talk about. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. We have a question from Arvin. That is this the highest form of dreams? So vivid that you, as if you are awake? It is the meaningful, the most meaningful, I would say. Why? Because the other 3, they are, especially the first 2, they are not really meaningful. Don't pay attention. Okay? Because some people try to pay attention. Okay, I dreamed about this. I dream every night. Does it mean anything? Usually they come from the wandering mind or the body elements imbalance. So you have to be careful about this. But if you have a dream that are so vivid, that are so real, then you can understand that something might possibly happen in your life. But since it is karma-driven, sometimes you can prevent that from happening. Sometimes you cannot. That's because the amount of karma that we've been accumulating can be so huge that no matter how much you're trying to change at the moment, it's not enough for the change. I usually give this example, I think you can find from the other videos as well, that if you have a glass of water or a bucket of water, okay, that might be better as an example in this context, a big bucket of water, and the water in the bucket is so salty, what do? Then you need to add more water, right? In order to make the bucket of water less salty. But if you didn't add enough water, or it is too salty and you have to drink it, then it is going to be very salty, right? Because you don't have enough of water, or you might not on time pour the water enough to make it less salty. So if it is because of the calmer, they might actually happen, or it is in the highest percentage that the dream will become real. The dream is going to happen for sure. Okay? So this is to answer your question, Arvin. Okay, and what else? Do you have any questions? Any other questions? You can share with me, okay? But what I'm about to share with you at the moment is our meditation can also lead us to a state that are very close to dreaming, okay? Again, this is a state that when you were awake, and this is when you were about to sleep. Usually, you have dreams somewhere here, that you are more relaxed, okay? You are more relaxed. You don't actually have dreams here. If we talk about the amount of relaxation that we feel, okay, so you feel more relaxed, then you started to have some dreams, and the amount of consciousness is getting less. That is when you withdraw from the physical five senses. Okay. A desirable meditation state is in the middle. It is between 50% relaxation and 50% concentration. So once you allow the mind to stay in this state, and then you start to have some clarity, because whenever your mind reaches this state, the mind is going to be very, very still. Imagine a lake surface. If the surface of the lake is not very still, then sometimes you can't see anything in the lake. Or we can also compare with the reflection of the sun or the moon. If the surface of the lake is not still, then you don't have the clearest picture from the sun or the moon, right? The sun will be in the day and the moon is in the night, or the stars, for example. So the mind that is still, and the stillness in this sense is how it wouldn't actually go up and down, because if you meditate and your mind is still going up and down, it is not still. Stillness in this sense is how you actually remain in the middle. And that's why, again, the Buddha said, this is the middle way. Middle way. This is the middle way in practice. How you actually remain in the balance between 50% relaxation, 50% concentration, because this is the hardest thing when meditating, right? To keep our mind with the balance the whole time. Come with practice, but those who practice very often can also control their mind. And once the mind becomes clear, anything that are in the mind you can see. So sometimes people can also have images when they meditate, and those images come from qualities. It doesn't mean that you thought about it, but you see or you experience something. When I use the word experience, not just about visions, but it's like you are in a movie. That could lead to some kind of dreams as well. When you meditate, it's like you were resting. You were not being awake and not being asleep. Many people said that. I felt like I was not sleeping, but I was not awake either. I was in the middle. Many people said that. So that is when you started to feel like you were somewhere else. You were not in your body. You were dreaming about something. Those pictures, those images, they are from the mind itself. And that led us to the feeling like we were dreaming. Even though you meditate, okay, but you can feel that you were somewhere else. Even though you meditate and you feel like you were somewhere else. So somehow we can also, in the meditation, goes from a certain feeling of consciousness to a deeper level of consciousness. You can call it subconscious mind, or deeper level of subconscious mind. You can call it subconscious mind. It's like you are going from a dream, and then you dream that you are in another dream, and then you are in another dream, or you are in another dream. So it is the dream within the dream, within the dream, within the dream. And this is a very meaningful dream. But again, this comes with some precisions. If you are somewhere on the very, very beginning or very primitive level, then the dream might not be very accurate. But if you can go from one dream in meditation, then you go to another dream, another dream, another dream, another dream. Very, very, very deep, very clear. So when you go deeper into your meditation, the quality of your meditation becomes deeper. The purity, the contentment, the feeling become magnified. And that is when you can be very confident on anything that you see in the meditation. It is very, very similar process, but it didn't happen because some other conditions or some other aspects that happened to you, but it is really happened because you can really control your mind. Okay, and then you go from one dream to another dream to another dream to another dream. So some of you might have heard about this Mahasati Patthana Sutra. Mahasatipatthana Sutra, that talks about bodies within bodies, feelings within feelings, consciousness within consciousness, and Dharma within Dharma, or purity within purity. It means that we can go and have a journey inside ourselves, so that when we go deeper, the amount of consciousness becomes larger, the amount of understanding becomes larger, and the amount of happiness is also more profound. If you can go into your body, from one body to another body to another body to another body, to the very, very, very deep body, that is when you can control your dream. And your dream at that particular moment is going to be very, very meaningful. It's not going to be just deja vu, but how you can really control it. So this might be kind of lucid dreaming practice, but you're not lying down. You're not follow any lucid dreaming instructions, but you sit down, you meditate, you go inside yourself, and you started to experience the dreams within the dreams, within the dreams, within the dreams. Okay? So, do you have any other questions? Now we come to an end of the talk. And I'm just going to make a brief summary for you. Today we talk about different kinds of dreams, and we learned that in our daily life we can have dreams not only when we lie down and sleep, but when we are awake as well, right? But the moment when you were having dreams, you didn't actually feel 100% conscious. You feel relaxed and you withdraw yourself from the physical five senses when you were having dreams. There are 4 kinds of dreams according to the Lord Buddha. The first one is when you have elements, the elements in your body are not balanced, and you go to sleep, you may have too much food, the ventilation in the room is not very good, or it is too cold in the room, too warm in the room, or you have too much water or too little water before you sleep. Then you're not going to have the best dreams, because it's like your body doesn't feel the best. Your body doesn't feel balanced. That is when you have kind of nightmare. Okay? And the next is when you have worrying mind. When your mind worries about something, it is possible that you will think about that thing or even something else in your dream. Again, our mind has a nature. It has a habit of wandering, moving from one thought to another thought, to another thought, to another thought in a day. In a night, it is going to be the same. So even though you were thinking about one thing the whole day, but it doesn't mean that you're going to dream about that thing in the night, because you will keep switching between dreams. So these kind of dreams usually happen. There is no beginning, there is no end, and then you keep switching between stories. Like I gave you an example of you started being a lawyer, and then you're going to become a soldier, then you become a policeman, you're going to become a teacher, an artist, and a musician. So you keep switching between stories. There's no beginning and there's no end. Don't pay attention to these 2 kinds of dreams, because they're not going to be very meaningful for you. Okay? The third kind of the dream is when you felt very relaxed and you were in the state being awake 50%, being asleep 50%, half awake, half asleep. And then you started to feel, or maybe to see, or to hear that someone that recently passed away was about to tell you something, share with you some stories, telling you something is going to happen. That is the dream that might partially become true. It depends on the person who tells us the thing, okay? If the person has more power, then it might be more accurate. The dreams, this kind of dream will be more accurate. And the last one is karma-driven dreams. Again, when we do something, the result of our actions is going to lead to consequences in the future. And sometimes they come very, very big consequences. And when something is going to be attracted to your life, sometimes you get a little warning before that as a kind of dream. But this kind of dream is the most realistic, I would say. And it's like 4 dimension. It's like you were in the movie, not just in the IMAX theater, but it's like you are really in that movie. You can see from 360 degrees, and then you can feel it really vivid. It's like real. Something real is going to happen. It's going to be your story. It's about yourself. So this kind of the dream, the chance of it becoming true is the highest. And is the most meaningful to you, telling you that, okay, something is going to happen. Maybe you're going to receive a big fortune. Maybe you're going to become very sick, or maybe you're going to have a journey far away from home. So this is the fourth kind of dream. And again, whether you can change the future, or maybe you have a bad dreams, but it is very vivid dream, like the fourth kind, the karma-driven one, and you try to change, the chance of changing depends on how quick or how large you do something the opposite to your dream. Okay, if you have a big bucket of water and the water is so salty, and you try to improve the taste of the water and make it less salty, if you have enough water and you pour enough water into the glass, maybe yes, you can change the dream, or the thing that's going to happen to your life. But that might not be always the case, because if the water is too salty, and no matter how much you try to put the water in, then the taste is still salty, and that is when you can't change this kind of dream. It's a karma driven. Some karma is going to give you result, right? But anyway, they can be very good notifications in case you might want to change your future. If you do something big and they are good enough and you do it quick enough, you can change as well. And the last special kind of dream is when you meditate and you allow yourself to stay with the disconnection, total disconnection from the five senses, and you're going into yourself, as written in Mahasatipatthana Sutra, that you can go into your body. So it's going to be bodies within bodies within bodies within bodies, consciousness within consciousness within consciousness within consciousness, quality within quality within quality within quality, and understanding within understanding within understanding within understanding. But then you have to go very, very, very deep until you started to feel like real, and the visions, the stories that come from this kind of dream, even though you did not lie down and sleep, can be very, very meaningful as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the talk today, and if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, you can also share in the Mysore groups and also in the comments below. And if you have any questions, because time is up, I have to finish the talk at the moment, you can also write the questions here. Okay, I might try to answer your questions later on, or our staff will provide some useful links for you. And if you find this live useful, you can also like or share the stories with people who might be interested in the topic, with your friends, with your family, with people that might feel curious about the topic before. And thank you very much. We're going to have a retreat in the upcoming days in Sukhothai, Thailand. And if you have availability of going there, you can also check out our link that the staff is going to put in the comments, okay, about the retreat next month, the very first week of July. If you are in Asia or if you are in Thailand, you might be interested in meditating together. Okay, I'm going to be there, and if you have any questions and you want to have the private conversations, then let's meet up on the first week of July. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. And this is Monk John. This is my stories, and I hope to see you again next time on the next topic. And goodbye. Have a nice weekend.